back to Scottish Stews, Rants and Reviews, and it's time for another weekly wrestling story. This week's wrestling story is simply titled Working with Hardcore Holly. So again, a background to those who don't know me. I was a Scottish independent wrestler for 15 years, retiring in late 2019. I'm now a coach for the FPWA Wrestling School. I got to work with the illustrious WWE legend Hardcore Holly. So let's just talk about that a little bit. It was the 23rd of May 2015 and it was WrestleZone's big super show, Aberdeen Anarchy. So every year at Aberdeen Anarchy they would bring in big stars. Like the first one they had like Hacksaw, Jim Duggan and so forth, and they've had Rikishi and Scotty 2 Hotty and so on. This year the three stars were Devon Dudley, Chris Masters and Bob Hardcore Holly. Early on, months before the show, the Wrestle management pulled me aside and said, "We want you to work with Hardcore Holly." I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it. The plan was going to be a tag team match, so I was inserted into a storyline between Aspen Faith and Len Ironside. So Len Ironside was the kind of legendary wrestler from the olden days, the World of Sport days. Very respected guy. I don't know a single wrestler's got anything bad to say about Len. Really good guy. And he was being brought back for one more match. So because obviously his age and so forth, they had to make it a tag team situation so he didn't have to do too much in a match. So myself and Aspen are spending months at shows, you know, tormenting Len and, you know, getting in his face and so forth. So he announces, you know, I'll wrestle you Aberdeen Anarchy in a tag team match and my tag team partner will be Hardcore Holly. Fans go wild, right? So that's the background to the actual match. So the first thing I'm thinking about, you know, Hardcore Holly, look at the size of the guy. I mean, the guy is an absolute brick, you know, he's huge, you know. So I know I'm going to work out, so I'm like in the gym hard, you know, week after week training for this match. And there was an instant on a show, the WWE broadcast called Tuf Enough. Now, I've linked the actual moment in the description below, so if you want to see what I'm talking about, you can look at it there. So I'd remembered this moment, and I probably made a mistake of watching this again the night before I actually wrestled Hardcore Holly. So to give you a little bit, if you don't watch the link, there was a wrestler called so Matt Capitelli. He was a young learning wrestler, and the show Tough Enough was kind of rookie wrestlers learned how to get into the WWE and be eliminated week in, week out, kind of like your X Factor format. So they're doing like a match, and Hardcore Holly comes in, tags in, gets Matt Capitelli and beats utter snot of him. He's got him in the corner, Matt's hanging onto the ropes, he starts kicking him over and over, he drops, they kicks him square in the face and busts his nose open. You can see there the effects of what he looked like. Pretty bad. So, he got this reputation as someone who really messes with you, and the word online was that he's not a nice guy, he's a horrible guy, he just wants to beat you up and so forth. So I'm thinking, oh man, go and work out with this guy. So the day of the show comes, and I go and meet him, shake his hand as you do, seems like a nice guy, chatting away. We actually have a workout together, so we've got some weights backstage, we're banging the weights out, you know, and then we get down to planning the match. So Hardcore Holly says to me, right, he goes, alright man, he goes, there's going to be the spat. I'm going to put you in the corner and I'm going to chop you hard. I'm going to light you up, boy. So I'm like, alright, and he goes, don't you block my chops. Don't you block my fucking chops. Exactly what he said. Serve the harsh language, I have to quote the guy. So I was like, Bob, it's okay, don't worry. I won't block your chops. So the plan was, I would do a flex off with him, and then I would go in the corner and take one chop in one corner, crawl to the next, a second chop, crawl to the next, and do a chop in pretty much all four corners, yeah? Before my partner Aspen would come in. So that's the plan. So I've got my chest freshly shaved, I oil it up with all the babe oil. So I'm thinking to myself, if I babe oil this chest, the chops aren't going to hurt as bad. Okay, sure, that's going to work. So he gets me in the corner, and again, I'm going to apologise for any harsh language, but I have to quote the man, this is what he said to me. So he gets me in the corner, and he unleashes the first chop. Boom! So he hits me so hard in the chest, his hand slides on the babe oil and gets me right in the throat. You can see that right there. So you can see the face of anguish there as I'm getting it right in the throat. So I'm like, oh man. So he grabs me by the hair, and he leans in really close and whispers in my ear and goes, You one slimy motherfucker, ain't ya? And then he wailed on me. Boom, chop, chop, chop. I take about 5, 6, I don't know, who's count, right? These chops. I'm like, oh man. So he stops chopping me. I crawl to the corner of his plant. Grabs me again. Boom, boom, boom. More chops. So I start seeing trickles of blood coming in the chest now. And this massive bruised handprint on my chest. I'm like, oh man. Go to the next corner. Boom, boom, boom. Take about 15 chops. So I take the fall. The next spot is supposed to be Aspen Faith coming out on the apron. And then Bob gives him a chop. And Aspen takes the bump on the apron to the outside. Now, he's not going to agree with this, but I'm going to tell you what really happened. This happened, Aspen. You know it did. So Aspen seen me take an absolute beating. And he's shitting himself. He is. So he comes onto the apron. And Bob goes to chop him in the chest. And you see the look of fear on Aspen's face. So Aspen preempts the bump and starts falling backwards to avoid getting hit in the chest. Big mistake. Because what happens is the chop is still incoming. So it misses the chest and gets him right in the face. Boom! So Aspen gets chopped in the face. So I'm lying on the ground selling the chops. Well, not really selling, they really do hurt. And I'm trying not to laugh. I'm like stifling, I'm covering my face up and I'm shaking, laughing at Aspen getting chopped in the face. So the match continues and the rest of it was fine. I mean, Bob actually let me call some spots. First thing I do, I grab him, give him a big nice back suplex, get a cover pin, you know, we do some nice little spots. Len comes in, does his stuff. The finish to the match is me taking the Alabama Slam, though. So that's the part where he picks you up. You're basically wrestling his back and he grabs your legs and he flips you onto your back. Scary move. Really scary move. I've never taken one before. So again, backstage, Bob Holly just says, look man, you just hold yourself up, let me do the rest. So I'm like, yeah, sure man. And you know what? It was actually one of the easiest things I ever took. And like, he had me up, and the strength of this guy, man. I'm like at this point a 16 stone man, and he picks me up like I'm a baby, and he slams me. He brings me down with such velocity. All I hear is like air go past my ears, then boom, take the big bump. But you know, I'm a professional. I know how to land, so it's fine. Pins me 1, 2, 3. It's perfect. We go backstage, Bob's delighted, he's like high-fiving me, he's hugging me, he's like, you did great there man, you gotta slow down a little bit, you did great, you did fucking great, and he was just so nice. You know, end of the show, buys me a pint of lager, we'll have a pint together, you know, and he goes home. So, you maybe expect me to trash on the guy. You know what? Wrestling is a tough sport. I watched that back again with Matt from Tough Enough. And to be fair, Bob is going hard, but he doesn't turn his face. Now, as a trained wrestler, when someone's kicking you like that, you turn your face. He didn't do it. So, I'm not going to trash him. From my own experience, maybe other people have had bad experiences. I thought Bob Holly was a gent. Yeah, he hits hard, but yeah, this is wrestling. It's a contact sport. And he went away and, you know, I had a great experience. Really nice guy. So my verdict on Bob Holly is class guy, and I really enjoyed my experience. Yeah, I had a few bruises, but you know what? Of all the matches I've had, I can't really say I've ever escaped a match without a bruise. So, anyway, that's it. So, that's this week's wrestling story of the week. Tune in next week. I'm going to get controversial next week. And we'll discuss more of that in the week. So, if you want controversy, I tell you what, if this video gets over 100 views, I'm going to post a controversial one next week. What's it going to be? So, from Scottish Stews, Rants and Reviews, I'm out.